It all started at a community charity event, the kind where you're supposed to network, smile, and make small talk with people you've seen 100 times. I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary that day, just another Saturday where I'd go, put in my appearance, and head home early. I was wandering around the tables, balancing a cup of lukewarm coffee, when I heard a familiar laugh. I froze for a moment, trying to place it. It was the kind of laugh that instantly brought back a rush of memories. I turned, and there she was, Sarah, my childhood friend. We had been inseparable once, back in elementary school. We'd done everything together, from playing on the swings to sneaking cookies at sleepovers. Then, suddenly, her family moved away, and we lost touch. Seeing her now, after all these years, was like seeing a ghost from my past. We stared at each other for a moment, both surprised, and then she broke into a big smile. I felt my face mirror hers, and we met in the middle for a hug. The conversation flowed as if no time had passed at all. We started catching up, reminiscing about old school days, the pranks we pulled, and the silly games we invented. I told her about my job, my routine, and she shared stories about her travels and her career switch. We laughed about how much we had changed and, strangely, how much we hadn't. As we talked, I noticed something odd. It felt like I was looking in a mirror. Sarah had the same wavy brown hair, the same slight dimple on her left cheek, and even the same nervous habit of biting her lower lip when she was thinking. I couldn't help but point it out, half joking that we looked like sisters. Sarah laughed and said, "Maybe we are." We joked about it, but the resemblance was undeniable. Our smiles were similar, and even the way we moved had a certain rhythm that matched. Still, I brushed it off, thinking that maybe we had just grown up in a way that made us look more alike. People often pick up traits from their closest friends, right? But it was hard to shake the strange feeling that came with it. We kept talking, and eventually, the conversation shifted to our families. I shared a bit about my dad, who has been in real estate for as long as I can remember. Sarah looked surprised and told me that her father, whom she never met, was also supposedly in real estate and had spent some time in this very town. It felt like a small world moment, one of those coincidences that make you pause for a second. But then we laughed it off and moved on. But the more we talked, the more these coincidences seemed to pile up. Sarah mentioned her mother never spoke about her father, that he was a mystery figure in her life. Meanwhile, I remembered little details from my childhood, like how my mom always seemed uneasy whenever Sarah's family came up. At the time, I never questioned it. Kids don't think about things like that. But now it felt like there might be something more to the story. We eventually exchanged numbers and promised to stay in touch, making plans to meet up soon. The day ended, and I went home, still smiling from reconnecting with Sarah. It felt like I'd found a piece of my past that I didn't even realize was missing. Later that evening, I mentioned the reunion to my mom. I told her how weird it was that Sarah and I ended up crossing paths again after all these years. I casually brought up the coincidences about her father, expecting my mom to find it funny or at least interesting. Instead, her face went pale. She quickly changed the subject, talking about how busy the coming week would be, acting like she hadn't heard me at all. I tried to bring it back to the topic of Sarah, but my mom just brushed it off, saying something about not remembering much from back then. I noticed her hands were trembling slightly as she reached for her cup of tea.